In Germany, we have three politicians that are almost universally despised. In first place is Heiko Maas, the current foreign minister and former minister of justice, who is a censorious, disgusting piece of shit who hates fascism so much that he loves it. In second place is Merkel, which you may not understand if you're not German, but trust me, I have an insider's perspective, Merkel is number 2, not number 1. And in the third place is a politician that most people in Germany have never even heard of, but every single person that has heard of him hates him. His name is Gnther Oettinger, and the only thing you really need to know about him is that the controversy section on his Wikipedia page has more entries than the section outlining his political career. Mr. Oettinger is having an amazing time as an unelected bureaucrat in the EU, working for the European Commission, where he has recently been promoted to being in charge of the budget, which is one of the really big and prestigious offices in that organization. And he landed this job because back when he was in charge of the EU's internet, he introduced a proposal that we're going to talk about today. Because that proposal is fucking dangerous. I'm not one of those drones who goes EU is poo-poo just because Sargon is pro-Brexit, and that has become the correct position of the skeptic community. I see the EU as the mixed bag of good and bad that it is, right? It strengthens the international negotiating positions of everyone inside it. It generates unimaginable amounts of revenue through the single market, and it protects everyone in Europe from inferior American meat. It is also intransparent, wasteful, undemocratic, and corrupt. And it has a massive corporate arm that is not elected, which is the European Commission, that can essentially do what it wants because people in the EU are too busy keeping an eye on their national governments. And this corporate arm of the EU is where the new copyright reform proposal comes from. So let's start by talking about the bad thing that isn't quite as bad as the worst thing, which is Article 11. And after you've listened to what I have to say about Article 11, you will think, holy shit, if this is the not so bad thing, how bad is the bad thing? You know how when you post a link somewhere, be it Facebook or Twitter or Discord, you get a little preview window just underneath it that is generated by the site, where you have like the thumbnail, the headline, maybe the author of the article, or the, who uploaded the video, maybe the description section, or a few lines from the article to, let you know what you're getting into. Well, this new law would make it so if you post a link somewhere and the site you are posting it on wants to generate a preview, that site would have to pay money to the site that has been linked. This is called the link tax in the common parlance, and there is a variety of reasons of why it is stupid. First of all, it encourages people to post fewer links on their websites and on social media, and it encourages social media to not give links as much exposure. If there is a budget for users creating previews by linking things, and that budget gets used automatically, because let's be honest, that's the only way that could conceivably be done in a manner that is functional, that could be easily exploited, because Facebook has no idea that the fitness coach from Barcelona that keeps posting all these news articles every minute is actually a bot owned by newspapers. It also means that if you're starting a new news company, you're starting a new media outlet, you have your own journalistic team that does investigative journalism, if you want anything but naked links to appear on social networks, and let's be honest, nobody fucking clicks on naked links, you would have to negotiate with the social networks to maybe even have them provide these previews for free without having to pay you, though there are some provisions in the text that may make that illegal, so that you can't actually not take money for that to happen. But those are very inconclusive, and they would have to be debated by legal scientists. But big established media companies already have a fantastic negotiating position with these new social networks. You also open up the very unnice loophole that factual headlines, among other things, are now protected by copyright, because this new copyright law says that there needs to be no originality to what has been said. So the headline, "Politician X kills baby," may not be allowed on other news platforms or to be posted on social media if no license for that headline has been purchased by the social network or the newspaper. This also applies to all other forms of media. If you have a blog where you talk about news, you better not link any articles, because that might get you having to pay. And if you're some sort of YouTuber who talks about current politics or even analyzes the news, right? People who analyze news broadcasts as they happen or after they happen can't do that anymore because you would also have to pay horrendous amounts of money for that as well. Basically, they want to ban fair use or whatever phantasm of fair use exists in the EU with big legislation, and that means for audiences also. So if you're in America and are doing news content there that is protected by American law, European audiences would no longer get to see that. Another thing is that it doesn't work. It's been tried in Germany and Spain with disastrous results. In Germany, courts are in the process of making that shit null and void, and the Spanish repealed this because it reduced the amount of news articles in circulation and ultimately made people be less informed. There's also a thing. The vast majority of clicks that news sites get is click-throughs through social media, right? If you make that a thing of the past, you also make those clicks a thing of the past. This is also why journalists are pretty universally against this law. This is all the boardroom executives of big media companies who want to create an unlevel playing field against their new competition in the new media. Now let's briefly talk about Article 3, which is also terrible. On the internet, it is very important to do mass text analysis and data mining of websites. But with this new proposal, that would not become outright illegal, but it would become so impractical and expensive because of the snippets thing that it would basically no longer happen. The Article 3 exception would allow research institutions, meaning universities, to do all of those things anyway for scientific research, which is good because we shouldn't have science bound by stupid laws. However, the way that the law is written, journalists, internet sleuths, tech companies, or just private individuals who do this as a hobby for some reason would essentially be banned from analyzing big data sets on the internet. So basically, a whole massively important method of research that is growing more important by the minute would only be allowed to be used by government-backed institutions and institutions backed by wealthy donors. Also, you need to do this if you want to build any modern form of AI. So basically, any EU AI startups or companies that want to get into that field would not be able to do it. But now, let's talk about the big one. The archdemon, the hellspawn, the law that would make memes illegal. Article 13. You know how YouTube, whenever there is something that even remotely smells of copyright infringement, will treat you as guilty until proven innocent to protect their own asses? And you also know how this has resulted in a horrendous and overly draconic series of bots and procedures that basically can destroy the livelihoods of people because one person lied. Well, imagine this, except it's a million times worse, and also on every single website on the entire internet. Article 13 posits that not only do websites have to take down copyright-offending content when it is demanded by the copyright holder, but that it is actually their responsibility to make sure that no copyright-offending content is ever even uploaded to the site in the first place. The way it works now, you upload a piece of copyrighted content, the copyright holder sees this, they issue a DMCA, YouTube has to take it down. But now, the moment you upload the copyrighted content, YouTube is immediately liable for it. So they need to review every single piece of content uploaded in order to make sure it does not infringe copyright. In the year 2017, there were 500 hours of content uploaded to YouTube every minute. And to review all of this, YouTube would have to hire people who never eat, sleep, or drink, that can work 24/7 without even a 1 second bathroom break. And also, all they would be doing is watching content. They wouldn't be typing things into the computer afterward. And the amount of people that are like this they would have to hire for this job would be 30,000. Also, these people would have to know every single language in the world and be intricately familiar with every single piece of copyright infringing content in the world. So basically, it's impossible, is what I'm trying to say, okay? And that is why YouTube and every other website on the entire internet will have to use bots. And we all know that bots are fucking stupid. Because of this law, here's a list of a couple other things that You would no longer be able to post anywhere on the internet remixes, covers, YTPs, let's plays, people talking about the news, parodies, reviews of films, games, books, shows, or even products, unboxing videos, and a million other things that I cannot even begin to list. This isn't because any of these things would be outright illegal, but the bots would not be smart enough to distinguish between them and something that is actually copyright infringing. Which, by the way, this new law offers no protections for arts in parodies and satire, even though the people who are pushing it claim it does. The letter of the law does not agree. They are simply lying. Oh, and did I mention several times in this video that this law would literally make memes illegal? Here's a list of a few memes that have copyright infringing content in them. Whiteboard Gru, Orange County Choppers, that guy who looks at the other girl's ass, Hide the Pain Harold, the anime butterfly thing, prequel memes, memory TV memes, Roblox memes, the Wednesday frog, flex tape memes, literally any meme that includes stock photos, Guy Fieri memes, Shrek memes, Thomas the Tank Engine memes, Disney film memes, memes that have scenes from movies in general, We Are Number One memes, E3 memes, The Simpsons memes, dam breaking memes, Smash memes, Smash Mouth memes, Warhammer memes, Bionicle memes, Eric Andre shooting Hannibal Buress, Vitas memes, Change My Mind memes. I could go on. Some of the rights holders to this content would probably be very okay with them being memes. It is, after all, free advertising, which the free real estate meme also, by the way, would be banned. The problem is that if there is never an original copyright offending piece of content uploaded to a site that generates memes, then no meme actually has the opportunity to be created because the meme does not spread and does not become a meme. Imagine if the guy who invented Pepe had the ability to end the Pepe meme, and the ability to have every single Pepe deleted off the internet. Because he would have that power, and he would do it. He has already tried to do it. Can you imagine the absurd skyrocket in the value of rare Pepes? If even the most mundane Pepes are now rarer than even the rarest Pepes of today? That would crash the meme economy, which at that point would be a black market. Rage comics would probably be okay though. I might even have to get rid of the bookshelf. Because this whole thing that everybody adores and loves. Because as you can see, there are some copyright offending logos on here, and literally everywhere here, which the bot wouldn't know is set dressing. Set dressing is legal, but he would only see the logos and go, oh, that might be copyright infringement. We don't want to get sued by all of these companies, so let's delete all of these videos. The European Commission claims that it needs these draconian censorship machines to combat file sharing and copyright infringement like pirating, because ooh, piracy evil, piracy bad. But the thing is, places like Mega Upload, in the current way the law is written, would not be affected by this law. Funny how that goes. Even Dropbox will have to not allow you uploading copyrighted content to your own private cloud. I mean, of course, the European Commission claims that there is exceptions for that, but the letter of the law says otherwise. There was recently a big data protection law passed in the EU, which was aimed at regulating social media giants and giving consumers more of an ability to decide which of their data could be collected and what could be done with that data. You know, because having a real hearing behind closed doors and then a bullshit public hearing of Mark Zuckerberg to make the voters believe that something was being done about the situation isn't the kind of operation that the EU runs. Unfortunately, an operation where lawmakers have even the slightest inkling of how the internet works is also not the kind of operation that the EU runs. Thus, this new data protection law that has been introduced is impractical, it does not work, and it fucks over more people than it helps, which is difficult because it literally helps every single person on the planet. However, this new copyright law does not read like a law that was written by people who don't understand how the internet works. This new copyright law reads like a law that was written by people who know exactly how the internet works and who want to destroy it. It reads like something that the boardrooms of big media conglomerates would want to avoid having themselves be overrun by a tide of smaller, more truthful and more difficult to control outlets. It reads like something that big search engines would want to stomp out the competition, because let's be honest, considering the amount of clicks that Google brings in, they would get all the licenses to generate snippets for free, but all the other search engines, they'd have to pay for them, and most of the time they couldn't afford to do so. So anyone who wasn't as easily influenced by money or ideology would be forced by law to provide an inferior service. No matter how incompetent it may seem, this law is suspiciously competent at giving billionaires the power to do rent-seeking on the internet and establishing information monopolies by law. And before you look at the map and laugh at the fact that you don't live in the EU, do remember that the reason your inbox was flooded with new privacy policies last month was also because of EU legislation. And the reason you can charge your phone with a USB cord instead of having to buy an expensive new adapter for every single model of phone by every single manufacturer is also because of the EU. The EU has power. It legislates the single largest consumer market in the world. A law passed in the EU will affect you. Plus, if this law passes in the EU, the same corporate interests that managed to push it through here will do the same thing in the US and the UK, where, by the way, the Tories have already expressed interest in maybe having something like this in their own legislature. It is now time for the elected arm of the EU, the European Parliament, to go up against this. A lot of Parliament commissions have come out in strong opposition to this law, and there is a good chance that it will not pass. But there is also a good chance that it will pass, because of the sheer unimaginable amounts of money that are poured into lobbying here. And that is a risk that we cannot take. Belgium, Czechia, Finland, Hungary, and Ireland and the Netherlands have come out against this law. And it is also against the stated coalition treaty of the current German government and also against the Berne Convention. EU courts have ruled against universal filtering of user data in the past. This proposal is in direct conflict with standing European law. Journalists, scientists, and users are vehemently against this, and the fight against the new copyright reform proposal is being led in Brussels by German MEP Julia Reda. But what can you do about this? Well, if you all are living in any EU country, use the tools that I will link in the description in order to find out who your MEPs are and tweet at them, email them, and call their offices. The vote on this will happen on the 20th of June, which is less than a week from now. And even if the proposal fails, find out if your MEPs voted in favor of it. Because if they did, you should dedicate your life to making sure that they never hold any political office ever again. They tried to kill the internet, and to dust off a cheesy and very old piece of meme history, we do not forgive. We do not forget. Fear us. Thank you very much for watching this. Unfortunately, I have to stop doing the Fast Food Thursday format because YouTube doesn't like it. It has destroyed growth on my channel ever since I have started it. And so if I don't want to jeopardize the future of this channel, I have to not do it anymore. It will happen once a month for my patrons, because for $20 on Patreon, you can be on the show, right? And I do want to bring the format back in the future when my channel has grown more, but right now it is destroying my livelihood. And yeah, I can't bear that. Which, by the way, destroying my livelihood is also what this new EU law proposal is doing. So what the fuck are you still doing here? Go over there now and fucking make sure that doesn't pass. Like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, join my Discord, become a patron or supporter of mine on Patreon, or make a support in order to be able to get cool shit. And in that spirit, let us all pray that the internet is not destroyed. And see you around, cunts!